I stood in the shadows of the Ashworth Gallery's grand opening, watching my family admire a painting they didn't know was mine. The irony was delicious. The same people who had once called my art worthless scribbles were now gushing over a canvas worth $2.3 million, completely unaware that the mysterious artist J.M. Rivers was actually their youngest daughter, Julia Mitchell. The brushwork is exquisite, my sister Diana declared, swirling her champagne with practiced elegance. We simply must acquire it for the house. My brother Thomas nodded in agreement. The investment potential alone makes it worth considering. These pieces have tripled in value over the past year. I suppressed a smile, remembering how they had reacted 10 years ago when I announced I wanted to attend art school. The memory was still sharp, cutting like broken glass. Art won't pay the bills, my father had thundered, slamming his fist on his mahogany desk. You'll work at Mitchell Financial like everyone else in this family. End of discussion. I was 22 then, fresh out of business school where I'd been forced to study finance instead of following my passion. My paintings, my dreams were relegated to late nights and stolen moments, hidden away in a small studio apartment I'd rented secretly with my savings. My mother had been more subtle in her disapproval, but no less devastating. Darling, she'd say, her voice dripping with false concern, you need to be realistic. Not everyone can be a successful artist. The Mitchell name means something in the financial world. Why would you want to throw that away? They had orchestrated my entire life, from the private schools designed to groom future executives to the business degree I hadn't wanted. Every summer internship, every networking event, every carefully planned step leading to my predetermined place at Mitchell Financial. The day I'd started at the company, my father had proudly installed a nameplate on my office door. Julia Mitchell, Junior Financial Analyst. It might as well have been a prison sentence. For 2 years, I played their game. I wore the designer suits, attended the meetings, analyzed the market trends. But every night, I would return to my secret studio, trading pencil skirts for paint-stained jeans, spreadsheets for canvases. My art changed during those years. The frustration, the suppressed dreams, the quiet rage, it all poured onto my canvases in bold strokes and violent colors. What emerged was something entirely new, a style that blended classical technique with raw emotion. I started submitting my work to galleries under the pseudonym J.M. Rivers. The first piece sold for $5,000, then $10,000, then $50,000. My family never noticed the paint beneath my manicured nails or the way I would sometimes zone out in meetings, sketching compositions in my mind. They were too busy bragging about Diana's promotion to vice president or Thomas's successful merger deals. Then came the night that changed everything. I had been working late at the office, finishing a financial report, when my father called me into his office. Julia, he said, not looking up from his computer, the board has been discussing your performance. I stood there, already knowing what was coming. My heart wasn't in the work. It never had been. And it showed. You're not meeting expectations, he continued. The Mitchell name demands excellence. Perhaps if you focused more on your career instead of whatever hobby is distracting you. That word, hobby, it was the final straw. That same evening, one of my paintings had sold at auction for $180,000. I had watched the live stream on my phone during my lunch break, hidden in the office bathroom, as collectors bid higher and higher for a piece my father would have called worthless. I quit, I said quietly. He looked up then, genuine surprise breaking through his usual stern expression. What did you say? I quit, I repeated, louder this time. I'm done pretending to be something I'm not. Don't be ridiculous, he scoffed. Where will you go? What will you do? I smiled, thinking of the growing balance in my secret bank account. I'm going to paint. The next day, the art world was buzzing with news about J.M. Rivers' latest exhibition at a small but prestigious gallery in Chelsea. The show sold out within hours. Every major critic was talking about the mysterious artist whose work captured the tension between tradition and rebellion, structure and chaos. I moved out of my corporate apartment into a massive studio loft in Brooklyn. My family, true to form, refused to accept my decision. She's having a breakdown, my mother told anyone who would listen. First she abandons her career, then she moves to that dreadful area. We barely recognize her anymore. They didn't know that their dreadful daughter was now earning more from a single painting than they paid their top executives in a year. They didn't know that the artist they desperately wanted to collect was the same person they had tried to force into their mold. For 5 years, I built my reputation under my pseudonym. My work appeared in major galleries, museums, private collections. The mystery of J.M. Rivers only added to the allure. No public appearances, no interviews, all sales handled through representatives. Meanwhile, Mitchell Financial began to struggle. The market was changing, and my father's old-school approach wasn't adapting fast enough. They lost clients to more innovative firms. Their stock price started to slip. I watched it all from afar, no longer the obedient daughter, but an artist whose work now commanded prices they couldn't afford. The same family that had once called my dreams worthless was now hemorrhaging money while my paintings sold for millions. Then came the opportunity I hadn't expected. The Ashworth Gallery, the most prestigious gallery in the city, the one my family had been trying to get into for years as collectors, was up for sale. I bought it without hesitation, still under my pseudonym. The purchase made headlines in the art world. Mysterious artist J.M. Rivers acquires landmark gallery. Which brought me to tonight, watching my family admire my work, not knowing they were standing in a building I owned, praising art they had once dismissed, desperate to prove they still belonged in a world where I now held the power. My father approached the gallery director, his checkbook already in hand. "We'd like to purchase the centerpiece," he announced, gesturing to my latest work. A massive canvas that captured the moment of breaking free from golden chains, painted in the weeks after I quit Mitchell Financial. The director, who knew exactly who I was, glanced at me in the shadows before responding. "I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, but that piece has already been sold." "Sold?" My father's face reddened. "To whom?" "Perhaps we could make them an offer." "The buyer prefers to remain anonymous," the director said smoothly, "just like the artist." I stepped forward then, ready to end a decade of deception. It was time for them to learn that the daughter they had dismissed had become the artist they couldn't afford. The clicking of my heels against the marble floor echoed through the gallery as I approached my family. I had traded my usual paint-stained clothes for an elegant black dress. Armor for the battle ahead. "Actually, Father," I said, my voice carrying across the room, "there's no need to make an offer. I already own it." The silence that followed was absolute. My father turned slowly, his face a mask of confusion that quickly morphed into disbelief. Diana's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. Thomas stopped mid-conversation with a potential investor. "Julia," my mother found her voice first. "What are you doing here? We thought you were still painting in that dreadful studio of yours." I smiled, gesturing to the magnificent canvas behind them. "I am. That's one of mine. They all are." I paused, letting the truth sink in. "I'm J.M. Rivers." The shock that rippled through the room was palpable. My father's face turned an interesting shade of red as he looked between me and the painting he'd just tried to buy, the one with a price tag that exceeded his annual salary. "That's impossible," Diana sputtered. "J.M. Rivers is a successful artist." I finished for her. "Someone whose work sells for millions? Someone who just bought this entire gallery?" I turned to the director. "James, would you mind showing my family the ownership papers?" James, who had been enjoying every moment of this revelation, produced an elegant folder. My father snatched it, his hands shaking as he read the documents. His eyes widened at the signature at the bottom. "Julia Mitchell Rivers." "How?" he demanded. "Where did you get this kind of money?" "From my worthless scribbles," I replied calmly. "Every piece you mocked, every dream you dismiss, they built this. While you were forcing me to analyze stock markets, I was creating art that people valued far more than Mitchell Financial's entire portfolio." Thomas let out a nervous laugh. "Come on, Julia. This has to be some kind of joke. You can't be J.M. Rivers. That artist is standing right in front of you." I cut him off. "Would you like to see my studio? Or perhaps the records of every sale I've made over the past 5 years? I keep excellent documentation. One of the few useful things I learned at Mitchell Financial." My mother stepped forward, her social instincts kicking in as she realized the implications. "Darling, this is wonderful. Just think what this could mean for the family. The publicity alone." "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to claim this success. You didn't believe in me then. You don't get to profit from my work now. Now see here." My father's voice rose, drawing attention from nearby guests. "We are still your family. We have a right to—" "To what?" I interrupted. To the success you said I'd never achieve. To the art you called worthless. To the gallery you can't afford to buy into. I gestured to the crowd of collectors and critics around us. Everyone here knows J.M. Rivers. They respect my work, value my vision. None of them knew I was a Mitchell, and that's exactly how I wanted it. Diana, always quick to spot an advantage, tried a different approach. Julia, be reasonable. Mitchell Financial has been having some temporary setbacks. With your resources, we could. That's what this is really about, isn't it? I laughed softly. You're not proud of my success. You're desperate to get your hands on it. How bad are things really at the company, Father? Is that why you're trying to buy art as an investment? Trying to prove you can still afford to run in these circles? My father's face went pale. The truth must have been worse than I'd thought. We're your family, he said again, but this time it sounded like a plea rather than a demand. Yes, you are. I agreed. And families should support each other's dreams, not crush them. Families should believe in each other's potential, not dismiss it. Families should. Should what? My mother asked when I paused. Should learn from their mistakes, I finished. I turned to James. Please escort the Mitchell family out. They're no longer welcome at this gallery. You can't do this, Diana protested. Actually, I can. And I am. I met each of their eyes in turn. You taught me well. About power, about control, about making business decisions without letting emotions interfere. Consider this a return on your investment in my education. As security began to lead them toward the exit, my father turned back. You'll regret this, Julia. You're throwing away your heritage. No, Father. I'm creating my own. After they left, the gallery buzzed with excitement. The mysterious J.M. Rivers had been revealed, and the drama of the family confrontation only added to my mystique. Critics who had praised my work before were now falling over themselves to analyze how my background influenced my art. But I wasn't interested in their theories. I walked through my gallery, mine, not my family's, stopping at the centerpiece my father had tried to purchase. The painting of breaking free from golden chains now held new meaning. The next morning, the art world was ablaze with the news. J.M. Rivers revealed. Harris turned artist breaks family ties. The story was irresistible. The banker's daughter who secretly became one of the most successful artists of her generation. My phone was flooded with messages. Art collectors wanting private showings, galleries requesting exhibitions, museums discussing permanent collections, and buried among them, a text from my father. The board meeting is on Monday. We need to discuss the company's future. I deleted it without responding. A week later, I received an invitation to a Mitchell family dinner. The card was expensive, the writing elegant, the tone pleading. On the back, my mother had written a personal note. We were wrong. Please come home. I took the invitation to my studio, where a new canvas waited. The emotions it stirred, anger, triumph, a lingering sadness, would fuel my next piece. Art had always been my true home, even when I had to hide it. The following month, Mitchell Financial announced its bankruptcy. The news barely registered in my world. I was too busy preparing for my next exhibition, a series exploring the theme of transformation, of butterflies emerging from golden cocoons. Deanna tried to visit the gallery once more, this time with a business proposal. Think about it, she urged. A collaboration. Your art, our business connections. Your business connections are worthless now, I reminded her, and my art never needed them. The final piece of the story fell into place when a major museum organized a retrospective of my work. In the center of the main hall hung my first painting, the one my father had called a worthless scribble. Next to it stood its current valuation, $5 million. During the opening night, I overheard two critics discussing the piece. The raw emotion, the defiance, you can feel the artist's journey in every brushstroke. Indeed, it's remarkable how she turned rejection into such profound success. I smiled, thinking of that young woman who had once hidden her art from her family. She wasn't hiding anymore. Her work hung in the finest galleries, museums, and private collections around the world. The name J.M. Rivers commanded respect in circles where Mitchell meant nothing. That night, after the guests had left, I stood alone in the museum hall, surrounded by my life's work. Each canvas told a story of struggle, of perseverance, of triumph. But more than that, they told the truth about success. It doesn't come from following someone else's path, but from having the courage to paint your own. My phone buzzed with a message. Another offer from my family, another attempt to leverage my success to save their legacy. I deleted it without reading it. Let them learn the hardest lesson of all. True worth isn't measured in dollars or family names. It's measured in the courage to believe in yourself when no one else will, in the strength to pursue your dreams despite every obstacle, in the wisdom to know that success without authenticity is the most worthless thing of all. I pulled out my sketchbook, the same one I used to hide from my family, and began to draw. After all, I had more stories to tell, more art to create. And this time, I didn't need anyone's permission to let my creativity soar. The Mitchell fortune might have crumbled, but J.M. Rivers was just beginning to rise. And that was a masterpiece worth every stroke of the brush.